Hey everybody, Adam here from the Tennessee Adult Education Division. In this video, I'm just going to give you a quick walkthrough of the process for collecting data on the TABE 11 and 12 paper answer sheets, just to make sure everything works properly when it's time to scan and score these assessments. So let's check out an answer sheet to get started. For the purposes of this video, we're just going to be looking at grading one form of the assessment, but this is the same process for all answer sheets, including the locator test, so no need to worry about that. So here we have the Level D Form 11 answer sheet. This is the first page. This has a lot going on, but there's just a few of these data fields that need to be collected before we can scan these into the DRC system. One quick thing to note is down here on the lower right side of the screen, each testing answer sheet booklet has a unique ID number, and that's called the book ID number. So that'll be important in case any answer sheets get mixed up later on, and I can show you where to find that code in the system as well. Okay, so let's just start out with collecting the first and last names of the student. So here we have our sample student. Her name is Charity Burbage. So we're going to write her name up in the boxes up in the top here, and then bubble in, obviously, the corresponding bubbles below. Next, we have our ID number. So this number is just required in order for the test forms to be scanned properly, but the system only requires that something is there. This number doesn't have to be unique to each student or anything like that, though it would probably be helpful later on down the road if you did do a unique number for every student. I'd recommend having some kind of formula to give these out to your students. So for this student, let's use a combination of her initials and the last four digits of her phone number. So we'll have CB5316. So CB for Charity Burbage, 5316 for the last four of her phone number. Okay. So next we just need to collect the date of birth, and the student's date of birth would be July 31st, 1962. And then we have a bunch of other stuff down here that we can actually just ignore. We don't need to collect any of that data for our purposes here in Tennessee, and most of it we actually collect in Jobs for TN as well. Okay, so if we open the book, this would be the next thing that we see, and it's the reading test. And one data element that we need to capture here is just the date of testing. So let's say that this student takes the test on November 9th, 2018. We'll bubble all that in, and then the student will take the reading test. One quick thing to note here is that practice tests are not required in order for these to be scanned properly. But these are a good time for us to really point out different things like this, like for some questions have Part A and a Part B and things like that. Okay, moving right along, we have the Reading Part 1 answer sheet, which includes questions 1 through 28. And then reading part 2, which has questions 29 through 47. And then the next thing is the math test. And if the student is also taking the math test on this test form, then we just need to capture the date of testing up here at the top as well. If the student was going to take, say, the level M math test or any other level math test, then we would just stop after the reading test and we wouldn't need to do anything else with this testing form or this testing answer sheet. So for the purposes of this demonstration, let's just say that the student is also taking the 11D math test. So one other quick thing to note here as well in terms of just capturing the right data is that students will need to answer sometimes these gridded response style questions. In this case, let's just say that the answer for question 8, part A is 1.25, and for part B, let's say that the answer is 42. So in order for the scanner to read this properly, all the numbers need to be aligned to the left. And that's important, so let me say it one more time. All the numbers or characters or anything that you're going to write in these grids need to be aligned to the left-hand side of the columns. So part A for this answer sheet would be scanned and graded correctly, but part B would not be scanned correctly. So just in order to fix that, students would need to be sure to align all their answers over into the left-hand side of the columns, just like so. Oh, a quick disclaimer here is these answers are probably not right. I just threw them in here for the demo, so don't bank on these answers being right. Okay, next, so we'll see math part 2. Nothing special here. And then finally, the language test. And again, if the student is going to take this test, then the date of testing would just need to be filled out up here on the top left. Okay, so now that we've got all that data, we can close the book and start looking at the scanning process. But before we go through that, just for fun, let's say that the student has accidentally messed up and bubbled in the wrong thing for her date of birth. No need to worry about that. I'll show you how we can fix that during the scanning process in the next video. Okay, So next, we'll just need to tear off the perforated line on the left-hand side of the column of the answer book, and then we can walk over to our scanner. So the answer sheets just need to go in the hopper of the scanner, no matter which kind of scanner that you use. Now, of course, these scanners do have to meet certain compatibility requirements, and I'll be showing you where you can find those requirements in the next video as well. But if your scanner looks something like this, it probably doesn't meet those requirements, so I wouldn't worry about trying to use anything like that. Okay, so now that the answer booklets are in the hopper and ready to go, we can go over to the DRC portal and start the scanning process.